We've all seen them, those gleaming promises of a future just around the corner. For decades, our collective imagination has been captivated by hardware, envisioning a world transformed by digital lenses and holographic theaters. We dreamt of devices that would fundamentally alter how we interact with information and entertainment. Think back to the buzz around Google Glass, or the widespread belief that 3D television was the inevitable next step for our living rooms. These weren't just fleeting fads, they were heavily invested, meticulously engineered visions of tomorrow. Yet, today, they largely reside in a peculiar, gadget graveyard. This graveyard is filled with forgotten, often expensive devices, gathering dust in attics or languishing in landfill. They represent a significant investment of time, money, and engineering prowess, now rendered obsolete. But why did these seemingly revolutionary gadgets fail to take hold? The core argument here is surprisingly simple, yet profoundly impactful. Many of these ambitious gadgets didn't fail due to inherent flaws in their hardware design or concept. Instead, they were quietly, almost imperceptibly, outmaneuvered and ultimately killed by the superior evolution of software ecosystems. Remember the early 2010s? The world was still reeling from the visual spectacle of James Cameron's Avatar. That film, more than any other, ignited a fervent belief that 3D was not just a gimmick, but the future of home entertainment. Television manufacturers, sensing a seismic shift, eagerly jumped on the bandwagon. They positioned 3D TV as the absolute next evolution of the living room experience, promising unparalleled immersion. It was marketed as the must-have feature, the reason to upgrade your perfectly good flat screen. However, the reality of living with a 3D TV quickly diverged from the marketing hype. The user experience was, to put it mildly, inconvenient. Watching anything in 3D required special glasses, which were often bulky, required charging, and felt like a chore to put on. For those of us who already wore prescription glasses, the experience was doubly uncomfortable, often leading to a precarious balancing act. Beyond the physical discomfort, many users reported eye strain, headaches, and even bouts of dizziness after extended viewing. The immersive dream often turned into a literal headache. Then there were the technical and content limitations, a tangled web of incompatibility. Different brands often employ different 3D technologies, like active shutter versus passive, meaning glasses weren't interchangeable. This fragmented landscape made it difficult for consumers to navigate. Crucially, there was a glaring lack of compelling 3D content. Broadcasters quickly abandoned their brief flirtation with 3D channels, and streaming services largely ignored the format. You might have a stunning 3D TV, but precious little to actually watch on it in 3 dimensions. The result was an expensive, underutilized piece of hardware. It promised a revolutionary, immersive cinema experience at home, but delivered inconvenience, discomfort, and a scarcity of content. The 3D TV became a monument to a future that never quite arrived, a testament to hardware that simply wasn't convenient enough. Next, let's dust off another relic from the not-so-distant past, Google Glass. When it first appeared, it felt like something ripped straight from a science fiction movie. The promise was intoxicating: hands-free information, seamless navigation, and digital access, all overlaid onto your real-world view. It was a bold vision, a wearable computer that aimed to integrate technology directly into our perception. Imagine getting directions, checking messages, or even taking a photo with a simple voice command, all without pulling out a phone. It truly felt like the future had arrived, albeit in beta form. However, Google Glass quickly ran into a wall of social and design issues. The most significant concern revolved around privacy, specifically the forward-facing camera. People felt uneasy, even violated, by the possibility of being recorded without their knowledge or consent. The term "a glass hole" entered the lexicon, highlighting the social friction it created. Beyond the privacy concerns, the design itself was undeniably bulky, awkward, and often distracting. It didn't blend seamlessly into everyday life; instead, it stood out, drawing unwanted attention. Wearing glass often felt less like a natural extension of oneself and more like a clunky, conspicuous accessory. Then came the practical and value deficiencies, which truly sealed its fate. The initial price tag of $1,500 was astronomical, especially for a device that didn't quite deliver luxury value. It was an experimental piece of tech, not a polished consumer product. Perhaps its biggest failing was the lack of a killer app, a compelling, indispensable reason to justify its cost and inherent inconvenience. What could glass do that a smartphone couldn't, and do it significantly better? The answer, for most, was very little. Many of its touted features, like navigation or quick information retrieval, were already readily available and more conveniently accessed through smartphone apps. Glass offered redundancy rather than true innovation for the average consumer. Ultimately, Google Glass pivoted to enterprise use, finding a niche in specific industrial application, before its final discontinuation in 2023. It remains a fascinating, if cautionary, tale of ambitious hardware out of sync with social readiness and practical utility. So, what truly happened to these ambitious gadgets? The core argument, the silent killer lurking in the background, was the relentless, superior evolution of software ecosystems. While hardware designers toiled away on physical devices, software developers were quietly building a more flexible, adaptable, and ultimately more powerful future. These software ecosystems, often free or subscription-based, evolved at an astonishing pace. They offered unparalleled value and convenience, often negating the very need for dedicated, single-purpose hardware. Why buy a specialized device when an app on your existing smartphone could do the job just as well, if not better? Consider the seismic shift from physical media to streaming services. We once thought dedicated CD players, DVD players, and Blu-ray players. Now, a single app on a smart TV or phone provides access to vast libraries of content, rendering those physical devices largely obsolete. The revolution wasn't about a new gadget, it was about software becoming good enough to absorb and supersede the functions of many old ones. This wasn't a sudden, dramatic overthrow, but a gradual, almost imperceptible absorption. Software didn't just compete, it integrated, it diversified, and it became the central hub for an ever-expanding array of functionalities. It offered a level of flexibility and upgradability that fixed-function hardware simply couldn't match. The power of software lay in its ability to adapt, to be updated, and to leverage the existing, ubiquitous hardware we already owned. It democratized access to advanced features, making them available to millions without the need for another expensive purchase. This quiet revolution fundamentally reshaped our relationship with technology, shifting the focus from the device itself to the experiences it enabled through its software. To truly understand this phenomenon, let's look at a classic example, the MP3 player, specifically the iconic iPod. When it first launched, the iPod was a phenomenon, a sleek, revolutionary device that put 1,000 songs in your pocket. It redefined portable music and became a cultural touchstone. For years, dedicated MP3 players reigned supreme, offering a singular, excellent experience for music lovers. They were the epitome of specialized hardware doing one thing exceptionally well. But even this titan of tech was not immune to the absorption principle. The rise of the smartphone marked the beginning of the end for the dedicated MP3 player. Smartphones combined music playback with a dizzying array of other essential functions: communication, high-quality cameras, GPS navigation, and, crucially, internet access. Why carry two devices when one could do it all? Furthermore, the advent of streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music delivered the final blow. These services made local storage, the very foundation of the MP3 player's existence, largely irrelevant. You no longer needed to painstakingly curate and transfer music files. An entire world of music was available on demand, streamed directly to your phone. This pattern is a recurring theme in the gadget graveyard. Dedicated hardware, no matter how brilliant in its niche, often loses out to versatile software running on existing, multifunctional devices. The smartphone, powered by its ever-evolving software ecosystem, became the ultimate absorber, integrating countless single-purpose gadgets into its digital embrace. It's a testament to the power of convergence and the user's desire for simplicity and efficiency. Why clutter your life with multiple devices when a single, powerful platform can handle most of your digital needs? The ghost of the MP3 player serves as a stark reminder that even beloved, groundbreaking hardware can be rendered obsolete by the relentless march of software innovation. The gadget graveyard is more than just a collection of failed products, it's a powerful lesson in the dynamics of technological innovation. It's filled with brilliant ideas that fundamentally misunderstood the paramount importance of convenience over mere novelty. Innovation, it turns out, isn't just about what's possible, it's about what's desirable, practical, and seamlessly integrates into our lives. Many of these devices were technically impressive, showcasing incredible engineering feats. But they often demanded too much from the user, whether it was cumbersome accessories, social awkwardness, or a hefty price tag without a clear, indispensable benefit. The market ultimately voted for ease of use and integration. Looking at current trends, we see this absorption principle continuing unabated. Dedicated health and wellness devices, once a booming market, are increasingly being replaced by sophisticated, often free, smartphone apps. Your phone sensors, combined with clever software, can now track steps, monitor sleep, and even perform basic ECGs, eroding the need for yet another gadget. This leads us to a critical question that every new gadget must now answer. Can an app already do that better, or at least well enough, on a device I already own? If the answer is yes, or even a maybe, that new piece of hardware faces an uphill battle against the convenience and ubiquity of software. The bar for dedicated hardware has been raised significantly. So, as we gaze into the future, let's try our hand at predicting future gadget failures. What new, shiny device, currently generating buzz, might one day join the 3D TV and Google Glass in the gadget graveyard? The ones most vulnerable are those that offer a single, niche function without a compelling, irreplaceable advantage over a software solution. The future, it seems, belongs not to the most innovative hardware, but to the most adaptable and integrated software.